Welcome to this mini masterclass. I'm Shumchenia, Director of Brand Marketing here at Intuit Mailchimp, and I'm going to be talking to you about the fundamentals of brand building. Brand building is essential for small businesses because they compete in such a competitive landscape. They're small brands by nature, so they're not always particularly the category leader or the most innovative brand in the category. And the brand itself actually gives them a really strong point of distinction if they lean into it and they build it into a strong and valuable brand. So a brand's primary job is to help a company be thought of early and often in the buying process, and if possible within a specific buying context. So small businesses can really lean into those specific buying contexts and those buying moments and help build their brand association with those moments. The beauty of a brand is you can really make it whatever you want. A brand is sort of a hollow shell until you or the world at large kind of injects it with meaning. I tend to default identity-wise to things that are a little bit more simple and distinct. Again, distinction drives memorability, so everything sort of comes back to that and trying to be as memorable as possible in a crowded space. Brands need to craft brand stories in order to be memorable. I think stories allow you to sort of inject emotion into a message a little bit easier, and humans latch on to stories and emotion way better than facts and figures, way better than product features. It's just something that we innately and humanly can store in our brains better, recall better later. So when you're telling a brand story and you're telling it well, you're really just setting yourself up for better brand recall later. I think really good brands tend to have an enemy, and I don't mean a competitor, I mean something that they vanquish on behalf of their customers. So Nike has the couch, Dove has beauty standards, traditional beauty standards, and they challenge those things with sort of the opposite of an enemy, which in my opinion is a point of view or a belief. So brands have a really great belief, like again, going back to Nike, that everyone can be an athlete. That's how they vanquish the couch. These create really unifying and compelling brand stories that brands can be consistent with throughout decades. Email marketing can really help you build your brand because it's a direct line of communication with your customers. They have opted in to receive messaging from you. It's a great space for images, for GIFs, for videos, all the sort of colorful elements of storytelling. You can be short form, you can be long form. It's really a wide open space. And I think a lot of brands are using it not for storytelling right now. They're using it for mostly promotional purposes. So you'd really be a brand that stands out if you're deciding to tell stories and brand build with your email. I think brand emails can build long-lasting customer relationships by being distinct. Again, I think it's about figuring out what stories your brand can tell, and only your brand, and the best way to tell them, figure out the best way to tell them, and map those out into a content calendar, and you've got an email brand building strategy. I think the cadence and the timing of brand building emails is really up to you and your audience. You should rely on data that you have about your audience and how receptive they are to emails. What's your open rate like? What's your click-through rate like? And find out what works best for them and for you. I don't think every day is the right answer, and I don't think once every 2 months is the right answer. It's probably going to be somewhere in between, but it's going to be such a custom fit for you and your audience. But I will say, don't send an email without something compelling to say. Again, this is all about distinction and building memories, and a cheap, watered down story doesn't do that. You really want to bring your A game when you're sending a brand email. Brand success metrics are not going to be things that you can measure day to day or overnight, like performance and sales. It's going to take a little more time. It's going to take a little more patience. And big brands have it easy. They have tools and market research that can measure, awareness, consideration, things like that. If you have access to tools like that, that is a great and fundamental way to do it. Track your brand awareness over time. Track your brand consideration over time. But for smaller brands that don't have access to tools like that, you might need to get a little creative and think outside the box. One great example, if you're an e-commerce brand, is you might want to look at where the traffic to your site is coming from. You might want to compare direct traffic to category keyword traffic, and even branded search to unbranded search, things like that. What's bringing people to your website? If it's more direct and branded search, you're doing a great job generating brand awareness, most likely. To summarize, think of your brand as a memory maker and your primary job as making the brand unforgettable, right? And you do that by looking and acting distinct, by telling compelling, emotionally charged stories, by having a point of view or a strong belief that you use to fight an enemy, and by using email in ways that isn't just promotional, but actually can help build your brand. So thank you so much for tuning in. You can check out more content from Intuit Mailchimp at our hub on raconteur.net. It's called This Could Have Been an Email.